that would probably be, you know, a good thing.
Oh, come on.
That's called a body wash.
I'll add that to the purchase order. We'll also be adding irrigation to the dog park, enhancing that. We've been working on that too with that recent expenditure to do the sod down there. So we'll have a better system to keep that sod in better shape.
Good. All right, 4C, landscaping sod replacement hurricane damaged areas. Al Harris.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you for having me. Al Harris, Natural Resources. Actually, the irrigation system in the largest part of the dog park is it's working, running. The new sod is down, so we're moving forward with that.
Oh, good. Take some pictures for us, will you?
As for my agenda item today, I brought this before you because I have a rather large proposal. And it's rather large because I went through Gateway Boulevard, Ripon Drive, Girl Scout, Devonshire, Eagle Point, Commerce Lakes, and measured areas that we need to replace sod where there was hurricane damage. And I know it's been a while since the hurricane was here. But these were, you know, areas where trees were removed. We have bare tree rings, stacks of debris was there for a while. And we held off on this. We wanted to wait for the rainy season to begin because, as Mr. Tinkle has just indicated, we do have an inadequate irrigation system out there at this moment. And so now would be the time to do these replacements and get the best survival rate from our plant installs.
Move approval.
Second. I have a
Question.
motion and a second. Go ahead.
Question. Can you pan down, did you mention Westlands?
No,
Westlands has got a lot of sod, and it's very questionable. Is the sod deceivable from the storm on their property or on our right of way?
Currently, we are not maintaining the sides of Westlands. We maintain the medians. But we haven't been maintaining the right of way on Westlands. We have been maintaining the right of way on Commerce Lakes.
We don't do the right of way on Westlands?
No, sir.
Who does the grass cutting? Each individual business?
No, they have POA.
They don't have a POA. Dissolved 10, 15 years ago.
Seagate is handling that
So it's
area.
one company is elected to do it.
I don't know because I have not talked to the property owners or the business owners over there.
The bottom line is, we're not doing it.
We are not doing the right-of-ways on the sides of West Lakes. We do, however, do all the medians from Daniels Parkway to Commerce Lakes.
In the middle. Okay, no other question.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
You got your sod.
Okay, I have a question for
Sure.
Mrs. Harris. Okay, just wondering why the Stony Brook, landscaping replacement isn't in the book. I know that the advisory approved of it, and the trees need to be done in the cul-de-sac, so I was just wondering what's holding us up here.
What's holding us up here is I was on vacation for a week, and that proposal was not brought to the district manager, and my agenda item was not brought to the district manager in a timely fashion to get it at this meeting. I do know that the Stony Brook Advisory Committee, and that was the other thing, the Stony Brook Advisory Committee wanted to review it.
And they did not.
So when I got that, when I got the okay from them, then I came back from vacation, I did the agenda item, and I took it to our district manager, who said there's not time to get it in to the book at this meeting.
It'll be on the next meeting.
It will be in the July 5th meeting.
Okay.
So I'll be
We
back.
got plenty of rainy season to go.
I have a question for El. Hey, El, we're doing this, you know, a lot of the sod replacement, on the soccer complex and in other areas, and I'm thinking more about the soccer complex. Is it cost effective or beneficial to have almost a sod repository, you know, somewhere where we can bake and basically cut patch sod for,
Yeah, it could be beneficial, and I did actually, I want to say, when Alado was here.
It's like 3 years ago, what?
Huh?
Was it?
More
Because I think you had talked to me
No,
about
it
it
was
a
more
long
than
time
that,
ago.
yes.
Yeah.
I brought that up to, operations manager at the time, that was Al Abdo, and the response I got was, we're not in the grass growing business.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking, if we're gonna spend this money for sod replacement, and when there is an issue, if we could, if Mainscape had the ability, or even staff, to replace the sod before it gets,
Right. Cut and
more
patch
damage,
it.
is it cheaper for us to try to fix when we can? So I just thought, if there's an opportunity to look at that, if it's cost effective while we're doing this sod replacement, then let's just take a look at it.
I would be happy to do that.
Okay.
I do have an area that I think would be ideal. The skirt's outside of field 5 at the back. It's a little bit wider. If we installed good sod down there, currently it's common Bermuda, and you don't want to transplant that into your field. But we could potentially install some good sod back there and use that as a cut and patch area.
Yeah. If it's recommended, I just thought, I remember we had maybe talked about it years ago, and I just thought, while we're doing this, if there's an opportunity to investigate, if it makes sense, let's look at it.
I'd be happy to do that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Ayers. All right, that brings us to our add-on 4D, consider the engineering presentations. So I will entertain discussion on how we want to go about this. If the question is, I guess, are we prepared to do it today or bring it back to the next meeting? Those are,
I'm ready to make a motion right now.
I'm prepared.
I'm good.
I'm prepared.
I guess I'm different. I'd like to bring it back to the next meeting, because I really like to look over what was given to us and just, digest it.
When we got all of the information, the bid packets,
Right.
two meetings ago.
2 meetings ago,
Mhm.
and I did all my
And
due diligence.
I reviewed those,
Yeah.
and I don't know that there's anything I'm gonna learn from going over the handouts that we got today that will change the ranking that I feel personally the firms deserve. And that's my one vote that I would like to move forward with it today, so.
I'll make the motion that, based upon the presentations made by both of the firms tonight, that we stay with Tetra Tech, and that we start the process of negotiating the contract.
And I think the motion would be to rank them number 1 and Weston Sampson number 2, and authorize staff to begin negotiating a contract with number 1 ranked firm, Tetra Tech.
Do we, and
That's
we
the
can,
motion.
and I just ask you this for, I guess, for a point of clarification. Does that mean that our motion would accept the rankings that were provided to us by the committee, or does this board actually need to rank?
This board needs to rank.
Okay. So shouldn't we first do that, each of us rank?
We could do it by the motion, by the form of the motion of Mr. Hinkle.
That's what he said.
Yet my motion is ranking them 1 and 2.
That's efficient.
Okay.
It might have been a little more complicated with another 1 or 2 to do, but anyway, that's my motion.
Can I have a repeat of the motion, please? Exactly as it's.
The motion would be to rank Tetra Tech number 1, Weston Sampson number 2, and authorize the staff, the chairman and staff, to negotiate a contract with the number 1 ranked firm, and if unsuccessful, to negotiate with the number 2 ranked firm and bring it back at the earliest possible opportunity. That's your motion, Mr. King?
That's my motion.
Second the motion.
Okay, I have the motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I'm still waiting.
Can you vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There's your motion, carries, so
Mr. Banks would be glad to include.
Mr. Danny, were
discussion
you
of
listening?
Performance measures
I was trying
in
to
that
tune out.
contract.
Yeah.
Well, we just,
Thank you.
And if there's an opportunity so I guess, Madam Chairman, you'll be working with staff
that's correct.
in the contract. I would like the opportunity to submit,
I'd like to see the contract before.
well, I would even,
Oh, well,
I'm concerned about sunshine law issue in that regard.
We'll send it to Chris, and he
Yeah.
can send it to
Well,
us.
and I think you've already articulated some issues with regard to value engineering and cost savings, and that can be part of the consideration of the compensation package, and that's where we've been negotiating the terms, including compensation, and whether there's incentives to be discussed. That can be part of that.
Well, so why don't we do this? So let's have a similar process like we've established in the past, that we meet with Chris, one-on-one
That's right.
to discuss, or provide input.
I think I've already given him my comments of the contract changes.
And also, as far as the contract is concerned, it will come back before this
Absolutely.
body, and we're
But-
going to.
Just saving time.
Yeah, I'm just trying, I wanna make sure, there's a couple things that I want, considered,
you can-
and I can't tell you in another
Correct,
forum.
discussions with Chris will have various concepts in his mind.
So is that fine to one-on-one? I mean, that's the only way I see you can do it, otherwise we're
Yeah.
gonna sit here be negotiating a contract among us before we even take it to them.
Yeah, we
That's-
can't
that's
do that.
And isn't this part of what DeServo has recommended for us, that we,
But it's awkward. I mean, I want to, I think the issue is having a conversation with Chris, expressing what your desires might be to be in there. And Chris does not communicate that to anybody else. And then Chris and I and the chairman will put together a form of a contract and then
yeah.
or negotiate those concepts with.
Chris would be the steward of our input,
Repository.
Correct.
basically, is what.
And I won't know where it came from.
And Tony, would it be appropriate to get input from any of the advisory committee members? And I know one expressed interest who's had, a long background in engineering. He said he'd be glad to review or assist or put his
If the
comments.
board wishes, I think that could be appropriate for that. One of those engineering background may be appropriate.
Mrs. Flaherty
We'll
has
give them
a
a copy of
question,
the existing
comment.
contract.
I'm giving the floor to Mrs. Flaherty.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If I have a suggestion then for the contract, this is what I want to understand. I can't say it here, but I can say it to Chris.
Yeah, just have a sit down with Chris and
That's
say,
what-
Chris, these are my.
That's what I want to clarify.
And then contact Chris, these are the, here's what I'd like to, see or hear my thoughts for an on a go-forward basis.
Okay.
And I think
thank you.
Mr. Nelson had a comment.
First, thank you very much. Once you do have a draft, if Chris could send that over to me, because we have a contract review committee, so I don't, I look at the contracts, but we have a review committee that, reviews them for legal purposes and whatnot, so
Yeah,
once
we
you just
do
have a
too.
draft. So, no, I know, and I'm sure that will go through that process before it gets, to me, so, just, thank you.
Well, in the contract, honestly, even before that, I think you and Chris should even have a discussion on where there's opportunities for better routines. How do we drive higher accountability and value engineering as part of the contract? This is part of the partnership that we should be driving with our vendors and staff. Because the contract that we have in place now was established in an environment that we don't have anymore. We had Severn Trent and operations. Now, our organization is structurally different. So how we, really negotiate and establish our contracts moving forward in this environment should be something that, I think both parties should work in partnership with. Does Jeremy agree with that? Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna move us to consent agenda.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve consent agenda.
Who seconded it?
That would be me.
Mr. Banks.
Thank you.
Consent agenda items 5A and B, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear none.
I'll be the Sundance kid if you'll be Butch Cassidy.
Okay. Supervisor comments, Mrs. Flaherty.
Oh, thank you. I already suggested that if you would repeat the motions, because many times, there are a few members that start the motions, then start talking, and so the motions are not in place, before we vote on it, so it'll be clear.
No problem.
Okay, and the other thing is, the FPL easement, okay, those little white things are down again, can those be fixed?
Street.
Yeah, across the street, and I already talked to Chris about, on Gateway and around that have, signs, stop signs that are bent over and crooked and
You have
speed
a list.
signs,
You have a
and
list
I
of
will
those.
give you the list, I have them at home. I think that's it.
All right. Mr.
I
Conley,
have nothing, Madam Chairman.
Mr. Banks,
No, ma'am, I'm good.
Mr. Tinkle.
Yeah, a couple of things. Can we on the next meeting have a discussion on the wells and the force main irrigation force main that served the country club.
Yes, sir.
Have that on discussion.
And on that, I have performed extensive research, not all that's out there, but on that issue, and I'll work with Kenny to do a memo on what we know, because there's a lot.
Point of order, Madam Chairman.
Mm-hmm.
Is our next meeting on July 5th, the day after July 4th?
It is. Problem?
I think not. I just wanted to make sure. I heard from other members that there was gonna be a problem, so we'd make sure we had an agenda, or we had a quorum.
don't have
I
a
was
problem.
planning on being here.
I don't have your wrong.
I'll be-
I'll just be getting
The
back.
next item I have is, again, on the next meeting, have Chris come prepared to discuss the head recorders and the rain gauges so that we can make a motion to transfer what funds there are need to be transferred and get that procedure going.
Yeah, on the agenda item, we'll have the information on the agenda for sure.
Next one, just real quick, like, did we get a resolution of the issue of the reflectors, deflectors of the lights on Griffin Drive, or are we still working on that?
Not familiar with that issue.
Where the lights are shining into the house?
Oh,
Mr. Brand,
I'm sorry, I thought you said roadway, I was thinking road markers.
no, streetlights.
No, we haven't got a resolution, they did put up some of those shields to try them, and they weren't effective, and there's not another product, with the exception of going to a totally different light fixture at a great expense.
Did anybody talk to FDL? I mean, they've got millions of lights. They've surely ran across this before. Do they have a reflector, deflector for that type of structure?
I'll check with
Might
that,
try
but,
that.
yeah, it had to do more with the type of box we had, and it wasn't set up to have something mounted to it.
And then the next one is there any opportunity, I just don't want this to drop, if we've got a chance. Can staff come up with what I'm gonna call a draft facility needs for the Commons Park that would be inclusive of a building with the size that you feel needs to be done, with whatever component of a recreation nature that would be in that building, and then a component of the phase one assets we want to put in that park, for example, bocce, pickleball, and the latest one I've heard tonight, there were a couple of people that were talking about, where can we take kids to play tennis around there? Can we talk maybe like 1 or 2 tennis courts?
How about baseball?
We have I know that I took an updated design based on the old design and made some modifications.
Well, I want to see a plan presented to us, along with what we do in the interim, i.e., what do you call it, temporary facility, so that we can all agree, as this is the scope of the work, that we want to then contact the consultant of, put this together in the form of a development order request.
If the board doesn't mind, I'll take some point of responsibility with that and work with Chris, and then we can pull in, or, Danny if we need to on that.
I just want to see the plan so that we can, I don't want this to drop. We're moving now, we've got this thing
I don't think-
authorized, let's keep it moving.
Okay.
And I think that he will keep that moving. I think Parks is near and dear to his heart.
That's what they say.
Anything else?
It's more the
Mr.
administrative
Tinkle?
building is near and dear.
Done, thank you.
I have a couple of things, and it came to my attention as I was sitting at the light at State Road 82 and Gateway Boulevard that we actually have a white sign down there that has Gateway and State Road 82 on it that we probably want to remove before they finish widening that road. It matches all of our other posts, and we can probably use it someplace else, even as a replacement. And there's probably one matching that at Griffin Drive. So
Yeah, that
we
one's up.
may wanna go get those before they disappear. And I had a question about the Stony Brook crosswalk sign, the third crosswalk into the community. It's at Iverstone Loop. The crosswalk sign is just not there. I mean, the green post and sign is there, but the actual man trying to walk across the road is just gone.
That's the one that
Yeah,
we're
we had
supposed
some
to work on.
discussion about that, I think, but yeah, I'll follow up with that.
I can't imagine where it would have gone, or how somebody could have gotten it out of it.
Some
Back
college,
kids.
some
College kids, it's in somebody's room.
I never did that when I was in college.
We had Interstate 69 going through ours. You can imagine what those signs were like. Margaret, I had one more for Chris.
Okay,
We had Evil Knievel knock down a street light about 2 months ago, down on a post on Gateway Boulevard, right, let's say the vicinity of the FBI. Was that, did that ever get put back up? That street light that he knocked down?
I don't know, I'll check and see though.
Yeah, I've gone by and the light and the pole, that was one of those 30-footers with a double head.
Right.
It's gone, but I don't recall seeing one go back up.
Okay.
Now, the biggest thing was, is did we get somebody on insurance to pay for it? Because that's probably a $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 pole.
Oh, I'm sure. I'll follow up and see. Yeah, well,
And then there was another one on Gateway Boulevard North, going up to Stony Brook. That one was knocked down about 2 weeks ago. Has that one
that was
been?
a trash truck,
Huh?
that was a trash.
Yeah, we
trash
did,
truck.
we did
Has
have
that
a
one
police
been-
report, and what the replacement status, I'll check on it.
Yeah, both of those were two knocked down and haven't gone back up. That's what I was wondering.
Mr. Guy,
Madam Chairman, I move adjournment at 5:52 PM.
do I have a second?
Second.
We're adjourned.
One was Evil Knievel. Tore the daylights out of it.
Ed, I never knew that.
Well, I won't be here when
I can see it right along here.
Oh, yeah,
that's, no, no.
everybody in the family group back in like 69.
Yes, I am. You bet. Everybody always
Yeah, I'm
wants
just-
to, you know.
That was a very popular sign.
Thank you for giving me them, because I'm looking for my